Okay, we are starting the live video stream. Hey everybody, it's Allie from Padfoot Palms, Poodles and Pals. So I'm just doing my usual Friday night awesomeness. I hope that we'll have a lot of people that'll be able to join tonight. I know I'm a few minutes early, so I'm just going to hang out here and wait for people to join me. Any minute now. Okay, well, I'm sure that somebody will join here in a minute, assuming that it's working properly. Hey, we got somebody who joined. Fantastic. Okay, so if you can drop me a comment down in the comments so that I know that the comments are working, that would be fantastic. All right, looks like people are jumping on. Okay. Hey everybody, if you've just joined, if you'll just drop me a comment down there in the comment section so I can make sure that it's working, I would greatly appreciate it. Hey, Jennifer commented. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, Whitney. Fantastic. Okay, so I know I'm a few minutes early. I like to just jump on here and make sure everything's working properly. So while we are waiting for everyone to join in, hey, Danielle said it's working. Fantastic. So while we're waiting for everybody, I figured I would just do my usual talk your ear off thing. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you just pop them down in the comments. Yeah, so I was just going to talk to you guys about interactive toys, puzzle toys, and one of the ways that you can buy these really awesome kind of treat games, right, for your dog, but how to get them more affordable. So, this one is from aboutdogtraining.com, apparently. Starmark is the brand. I purchased this at TJ Maxx. It was $5.99, and I know it looks kind of odd, right? But what you do is you untwist the top of our little bowling pin here, is what it looks like. And on the inside is where you put the treats or the kibble. If you feed kibble, you can put that in there, right? And then you twist the top back on. And as your dog moves this around, right, and toddles it, it's kind of bottom heavy, right? So it's like one of those teeter-totter toys. It's like Weeble Wobbles, right? For those of you who have children now, you know what I'm talking about. So it's like a Weeble Wobble, right? It wobbles all around and it, you know, shoots the little treats out. So it encourages them to roll it and flip it and pick it up and move it. Anyway, they come in different sizes. This is just the ginormous size. But like I said, I picked this up at TJ Maxx, $5. You can't beat that. And I watched other people pick it up out of the bin and they were like, what is this? And put it back. And I was just like, what? That is a huge score. So usually puzzle toys are going to be on the pricier side, right? Because I mean, this is fairly large if you look at it. The more interactive they are, the more moving parts they have, you know, they can be upwards of $25, $30. So I definitely recommend that you keep an eye out on Chewy.com because sometimes they will have them on sale, or they'll do one of the buy one, get one 50% off. Okay. I don't know if everybody else knew about this trick, but just recently I figured out with Chewy.com, you can actually search by sale item. Hear me out. So they were doing, it was either a buy two, get one free, or a buy one, get one half off. And so what I did was in the search bar, searched for buy two, get one free, right? Or whatever the promo was that they were doing. And it showed me all of the items that pertain to that sale. And usually when it prompts you with like little sales stuff, right, they're showing you some of the more expensive items. They may show you some things that you've purchased before, right, depending on how good the algorithm is that day. But this way, I was able to go through and see, okay, I could pick out, you know, this treat with this food and, you know, like an interactive toy, and it's buy two, get one free. So always make sure you're checking and doing a search based on whatever sale they're having, because they're having a whole bunch of sales right now. So, sorry, somebody's messaging me. So anyway, that was my little spiel for today. So I'm very happy to see that we have a ton of people here. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me on a Friday night. Okay. Abigail said, great toy. My dogs love it. They love the interactive toys. Okay, so if you have a question, make sure you pop it down there in the comments for me. I've got the iPad ready to go in case I need to look anything up for you. That's Kennedy out there barking. Okay. Okay, so while I'm waiting for questions to come in, I'll just give you a rundown of our crazy day that we had today. So Kennedy had her second round of shots. I took her to the vet this morning, and she was a great big baby about it. She did not like it at all. She's very sensitive. She's got a real sensitive heart. And so when the vet tech was like, okay, she was holding her and she gave her the vet gave her the shot, she was just squealing and she was so upset. It's hard, you know. I knew it was coming though, because when they're sensitive like that, it's like, oh my God, the sky is falling. So anyway, brought her home, gave her she's just going to town out there. Gave her the Adored Beast anti-vaccinosis tincture, which I made a post about earlier today, and put her in the master bathroom so that she could take a nap. And she really didn't want to, but you know, it's really important after they've had their shots that they rest. Guys! They're getting crazy. Brandy said, mine act like they're being murdered during the vaccinations. Yeah. Some of them take it like a champ, like Velocity. It was like she didn't even feel it. She does really well. But some puppies are just really sensitive, and Kennedy is definitely one of those sensitive souls. Okay, Renee says, do y'all put a tree up? How are your pups with it? Okay, that is an excellent question. Yes, we do put up a tree. You guys wanna go on an adventure with me? Here, hang on. Hey, hang on. Stick with me. I'll try my best to keep you level so you don't end up getting seasick. Hang on. This way I'll be able to tell the dogs to hush it. Hey, you're making so much noise. What's happening? Look out. Okay. Sorry. Look out. Everybody's out here playing. Okay, so about to show you our tree. If I can get around the corner here. Okay, so there is our tree and all of our presents around the tree. So, as you can see, it's upstairs. Okay, let me hang on. We're gonna go back in there. No, Kennedy. Oh my goodness, everybody's busting in. Guys, what's happening? Come on, over here. Guys, come on. This craziness. Okay, hang on. Come here. Come on. Let's go. Come on. There you go. All right, hang on, guys. All right, y'all be good. Okay. Okay, not too bad, right? Hopefully I didn't make anybody seasick there. I'm toting y'all around. Okay. So, we have Sega and Velocity, or Sega and Kennedy, sorry, who are both young puppies. And we decided that trying to keep them from getting to the tree and the presents and all of that was just going to be too much. Because when you first get your puppy, you really want to have positive interactions with them. And constantly telling them no, or constantly telling them what they shouldn't be doing, you're not really starting off that whole bonding process the best way that you can. So we decided to put the tree upstairs because we have a gate at the bottom of the stairs. The dogs do not go upstairs. So I figured that way we could have our tree, the puppies can get a little bit older, and so next year, you know, it'll be easier to have a tree out. Now, I have seen a lot of people that use the, what is it? We have it in our living room. It's the really, really wide gates, the really long ones. And what they did is they put it around their tree, right? So their tree's in the corner, and then they use the really long gate to kind of quarantine off the tree, right? So that they can have the tree and the presents and the ornaments, and the dogs can't get to it. There's a space. So, oh, thank you, Danielle. Yeah, Sue's put the tree up for us this year. She did a phenomenal job. So, yeah, so that's one of the ways that we keep everybody from getting to the tree. Hi, Jersey. Okay. Oh, it looks like we have a question. Let me scoot you guys in here so I can see. My dog's skin has been super dry lately, and she's been itching as well. What do you recommend giving her? I tried putting coconut oil on her food, but it doesn't seem to help yet. Okay, so when you are adding oils or something that is oily, right, to try to help with the skin. For example, sardines are really good to add. You get the little can of sardines and water and just put one sardine in their meal. You can mix it into their kibble, you can break it up, however you want to do it, it's fine. That's a really good way to kind of get those omegas in to replenish the skin. So, it takes a while before it starts taking effect. And I'm seeing more and more posts about itchy dogs now that we're coming into winter. People have got their gas heat on. You may not have a humidifier in every room, so it'll really dry out your skin. As a matter of fact, I was just thinking that I should have put lotion on because my skin is very dry today. Same thing happens to the dogs. So one thing you can do if your dog is just really struggling with the dry skin is you can get a little bit of coconut oil on just the tips of your fingers, and just a little bit, right? So like if this is the coconut oil, you're just gonna kind of run your fingers along the top of it and then go down to in between the hair to your dog's skin and rub it into the skin, and that'll provide them some immediate relief. So yeah, but just make sure you don't get it like all over the hair. Don't do like a big scoop out in your hand. No, because your dog will be looking like a 80s rock star with hair sticking out all crazy. So okay, Crystal has a question. Could you please tell me your thoughts about the anal gland on dogs? I heard that it's not good for the muscles around there. Okay, I'm assuming you're talking about expressing the anal glands. So this is something that groomers often offer as part of their grooming package, right? If you do like a full groom or a half groom, or, you know, all groomers are different. I highly recommend that you do not get your dog's anal glands expressed at all. Ever. Unless your vet deems that it's medically necessary. But before that, do not do it just to be doing it. And do not let your groomer do it as part of routine grooming. Because here's the problem. The anal glands are supposed to be expressed naturally when the dog is defecating, right? Well, if you are constantly having them expressed, say every time they go in for grooming, then their body doesn't need to do it anymore, right? Because it's being manually expressed, not to be gross. So yes, it's not good to have it done. Now, there are medical reasons why it may need to be done, or I know sometimes some dogs have challenges with, what are they doing out there? Some dogs have challenges with when you switch foods, right? And sometimes they'll have an issue with their anal glands. So definitely it's something that if you are noticing a very fishy smell or just a really rank smell coming from your dog's rear, it's definitely something that you want to talk to your vet about. And they'll be able to tell if they need to be expressed, but they can check them without expressing them, if that makes sense. So it's not something that you want to just do willy-nilly. And please, for the love of God, do not watch YouTube videos that show you how to do it and then think you should be doing it. No, please leave it to a professional, either your vet, which would be ideal, or your groomer, if that's something that they have been trained how to do. So yeah, Crystal, that was a great question. Okay. Oh, everybody likes the tree. Thank you. Yes, Jessica, like an X pen. Yes. Yeah, it's not the thin, flimsy metal ones. It's the big one. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Because I feel silly that I can't remember the brand name. We got it from PetSmart. PetSmart X Pen. Let's see if it'll just show up in the pictures here. Okay, here we go. You see that? So you can, they have it in a square shape right now, but you can actually take it and, you know, put it around the tree. Hope that makes sense. Oh, I didn't mean to turn that off. Hang on. Oh, man. Sue's put a passcode on this, and I had it unlocked, and now I don't remember the passcode. Okay, well, there we go. Well, I screwed the pooch on that one. I'm so sorry. Hopefully we'll get lucky and nobody needs anything looked up tonight. Okay. Mary says, I saw a post on enzymes to help eating. Sounds like exactly what we need for Molly. She was diagnosed with HGE and we couldn't get her to eat much at all. The vet gave us some Carafate. and that works, but she hates it. Is there an enzyme that would work? Yes, so if you go to the files, I have a whole document there. It's called Digestive Enzymes, and there are various digestive enzymes that you can use. Some of them are pricier than others, but they're all fantastic. I've used all of them. They're all great. They work great. So definitely check that out. That would be a good place to start. Okay, great. Oh, Jennifer says she loves my pendant. So this was actually an early Christmas present. Okay, so this is one of those things, like when you were a kid, your parents always made you wait, right, until Christmas to open presents. Okay, well, I'm an adult now, so I open presents when I want to, and there's no one that can stop me. So Suze and I like to open like 1 or 2 presents before Christmas, just for fun. We both have jobs that get really, really stressful towards the end of the year. And so it's just kind of a fun thing that we do. So I actually got this pendant as my early Christmas present. Here, let me move you down so you can see it. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's got the dogs' names on it, and then their little birthstones, which I thought was very sweet. So thank you, Jennifer. I love it too. Hey, Kiki's here. Hey, Kiki. All right. Yeah, we got lots of people. Hey, Jennifer's here. Hey, Jennifer. Okay, Crystal says, when you go to the vet for the first time and pups are under 2 pounds, do you vaccinate or let the new owners do it? Okay, so Crystal, this is a phenomenal question. Thank you for asking it. For me, this is really dependent on the puppy. So, for example, with our litters of tiny Pomeranians, I opted to wait until they were older and a little bit bigger. Now, they hadn't reached 2 pounds yet, but we were only doing 1 shot at a time, right? We're not doing like a 5-way or a 9-way or, something crazy where they get vaccinated for all this junk that they don't need in their system, especially when they're so tiny. So that helps. And then also, one of the reasons why I like to do the first vaccine is because I know what to look for in an adverse reaction to a vaccine, right? A new puppy parent, they may not have ever experienced it. I actually posted a video in the group where someone had shared their dog their puppy having an adverse reaction on TikTok, because most pet parents, they haven't experienced that. So I like for puppies to have their first shot with me, and I like for there to be a certain amount of time before they're going to be going to their new home. That way, if they have an adverse reaction, I can either rush them back to the vet or take them to the emergency vet, right? And that's not an additional cost that a pet parent is, having to take on right when they just got their puppy. And also, because if they're going to have a bad reaction, I want to be able to see it, know what I'm looking at, and tell them, okay, we need to talk about the rest of your vaccines for your puppy, because you need to have something on hand, right? Something like the Adored Beast anti-vaccinosis tincture, or we may even talk about not doing vaccines going forward. So that's a conversation that I like to have before, right, they get their puppy. So for me, it's very important to do the vaccines before they go, the first vaccine. And if that means that I have to push out their go home date by a couple of weeks, I don't have any problem doing that. And that's usually one of the things that I bring up with new pet parents, you know, at the very beginning when they're ready to put a deposit down. So that way it doesn't come as a big surprise, right? I talk about, hey, your puppy's going to be very small, or, you know, hey, your puppy is charting to be such and such weight, right? Which we have a tendency to do with small breeds. And so you can just kind of lay the groundwork for when you have that vet visit and you say, okay, so we're good. Your puppy had their first vaccine. Everybody's doing good today. In the litters that I've had, I have only ever had 2 puppies that showed some signs of being sensitive to vaccines. Not a full-blown reaction, but just that they were sensitive to it. And I made those puppy parents aware and said, okay, this is what I noticed. These were the symptoms. This is how long it took for it to show up. Now it's on you to do your research, and you need to decide, okay, are you going to go like a no-sods route, right, with a holistic vet rather than doing vaccines? Are you not going to do any vaccines? What are you going to do going forward, just so that they can make an educated choice? So yeah, it's tough when they're so small. You just got to do the best you can. And if your vet will do a modified dose, meaning they don't give the full vaccine vial, if they'll do half or even less, I think that's fantastic. A lot of vets won't do it, but some will. So it's just something that you have to ask them before you are standing there in the office getting your puppies their shots. So yeah, that was a great question. Okay, great. Hey, Tiffany's here. Hey, Tiffany. Fantastic. Okay. Okay, Crystal said, thank you for the information. I groom all my babies at home. So is it normal if she only has the fishy smell when she's nervous or scared? Interesting. Are you feeding a fish-based food or treat, or adding a fish oil to the food? Crystal, let me know, because that might be the culprit of what's causing the fishy smell. Usually when it's an anal gland issue, you know. Okay? You will know, because it will be nasty. So, if it's just every now and then that you're smelling it, I'm wondering if there's something else at play there. Crystal says it usually happens when she's at the vet clinic. I'm guessing it's just gas. But let me know if you're feeding something fishy. Hey, Treva. Ooh, Abigail's got a great question. She said, what are your thoughts on fermented veggies? Love them. They're delicious. Also very good for your dog. Could it replace probiotics? Yes and no. So with fermented veggies and probiotics, I don't recommend that you keep your dog on the same thing all the time. So if you are doing your own fermented veggies, mix that up with a store-bought fermented, or like Answers has some various treats and things like the chicken feet and stuff like that that have been fermented. And then also with probiotics, don't just stick with, just one. Do a variety. Don't give them every day. Don't give them all the time. Give them a break. Just like with any kind of supplement, you want the body to take it in and say, hey, oh yeah, this stuff is good. Okay, let's build this up. This is great. And then you want them to maintain that on their own. So you give them a break from the probiotics or your fermented veggies, and then you introduce them again, right? So that if that colony of good bacteria in their gut was to die off for whatever reason, for example, if your dog was on antibiotics, right, which is terrible for their gut health, then you could reintroduce those probiotics again and the body would go, oh yeah, this is good stuff. Okay, let's start building this up. So, yeah, love fermented veggies. I've actually got a couple of fermented veggie videos that are going to be coming out soon. And I love probiotics. I think that they should work as a team. So not necessarily one or the other, but I think both are good, and not necessarily at the same time, right? Let's just switch it up. That's a great question. Okay. Oh, everybody loves the pendant. You guys are so sweet. Thank you. Happy birthday, Tiffany. What? It's Tiffany's birthday? Happy birthday. Birthdays are the best. Okay, Kiki says, what is the occasional fishy smell that Babar has? Is it because he's not neutered? He doesn't eat fish. I don't know. That's it doesn't have anything to do with him not being neutered, that I can think of. Usually a fishy smell or just a really strong smell is gonna have something to do with the anal glands. Yeah. Okay, Crystal said, I rotate her recipe. She eats beef or salmon or pork. I'm thinking it's just gas. I'm thinking it's just gas. If it's happening every now and then, I wouldn't be concerned. But if it's a more consistent smell, like you're noticing it all the time, then, you know, you might want to have your vet take a look. Hey, Anthony's here. Hey, Anthony. Okay, great. Abigail's going to watch out for the fermented veggie video. You guys, I have so many videos that I want to make. I literally have an entire notebook. It's just a matter of having time. So, okay. Crystal, so I just read your last comment. I'm not going to read it out loud because I don't want to gross anybody out. But that might be something that you want to have the vet take a look at. I would have the vet take a look at that. That sounds like a bit much. So, hey, Debbie's here. Hey, Debbie. Big hearts to you. Okay, great. All right. Wow, those were some awesome questions. Okay. We got to the bottom of the questions. So if you have questions, be sure to drop them down there in the comments section for me. Okay. All right. So while we wait for more questions, what do we want to talk about? So I've been, along with the book of recipes, I've been working on some online classes that everyone will be able to take. Some of them are going to be nutrition classes. Some of them are going to be free. And there's also going to be an entire breeding class. So there's going to be all of that, which is going to be fantastic. Hey, Jersey said, when are you getting your male poodle? All right, Jersey. All right. I'll go ahead and I'll give in. I was waiting, but since you guys are here and Jersey asked the question, I'll go ahead and let you know. You guys will get a sneak peek. We are going to be picking up our male poodle. His name is Shazam. We are going to be picking him up the day after Christmas. So you'll have to stay tuned, because of course we'll make a video and all that so you can see him. So yeah, His name is Shazam, and we're pretty excited. He is really stinking cute. So there you go. You guys, you got the info before everybody else because you're here at the live session. So okay, great. Hey, Mandy's here. Hey, Mandy. Okay. How did you make the decision to move from Poms to Poodles? Well, this is a tough one. So, when we started out with Poms, right? I talked to Suze, who had never done any breeding before. And I told her, I said, okay, if you want to give this a try, then you get to pick the breed, right? So it's something that you can be excited about. And her family has owned Pomeranians. They're like, they have tons of them. And so, and she had Bear, which was her rescue Pomeranian. So she was like, oh my gosh, let's breed Poms. I was like, okay. So, we gave it a go, and she loves everything about breeding. She is phenomenal when it comes to the actual birthing process. She is an absolute gem when it comes to working with the puppies, making sure that they're desensitized to noises, because she's really fun. She sings and dances and makes all these sounds, and she's unlike anyone that I have ever known. She's very entertaining. And for puppies that are very young, that can be a whole new experience for them, both in that, right, they are, they haven't been alive that long, so they haven't had that many experiences, but it kind of desensitizes them to a lot of things that puppies find very scary, like children squealing and running around, and because Suze makes all sorts of loud noises and plays with them and things like that. So I had always wanted to have a breeding line of service dogs. I think that there are not enough breeders that are out there specifically working with puppies to move them into service dog positions, right? There are so many people who just go to a breeder and get a puppy, right? They could be poodles, they could be labs, they could be, any number of breeds that are great for service work. And then they're dropping, $10,000 sending this puppy off to training, and they don't really have that foundation that the puppies really need. So this is where kind of Suze and I came together. It was actually really funny. I was researching about standard poodles, and Suze was visiting family, and they had standard poodles that they brought over, and so she met them. So she came home from visiting family, and she said, oh my God, my family members have these awesome dogs. They're standard poodles, and I had already been researching standard poodles on my own without saying anything to her. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me, because I've been looking at us potentially getting a standard poodle. And she was like, what? Oh my God, they're the best dog ever. So anyway, that's how we ended up with Velocity, our first standard poodle, and we absolutely fell in love. I didn't know that it was possible to have a dog that you have as a puppy, right? That you get them at 8 weeks old, and then they house train in 2 weeks. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that was possible, right? Because we had had Pomeranians, which, as all of you know, can be very challenging to potty train. So to have this puppy come into our life that house trained like that with a very minimal effort, just a matter of being consistent with her, I mean, our minds were like, So, because you always hear about poodles being so smart and being so intuitive and in touch with your, you know, your emotions and what you're feeling. And I've talked about it before. Velocity, I have sleep apnea, and she will wake me up if I stop breathing. Just the other night, I was having a nightmare and she woke me up. She does deep compression therapy all on her own. She's never been taught how to do that. She just naturally does it. And for those of you who don't know, that's where your dog gets up on you, right, and provides pressure. It's kind of like a weighted blanket, right? So it helps your body to relax and also for your brain to release endorphins. Again, no one taught her how to do that. It's just something natural that she does. So yeah, anyway, I could just talk about the dogs forever. I won't do that to you guys because I know people have questions. So, yeah, so we love the standard poodles. Okay, Jessica said, when is your breeding live, or did I miss it? So I have a whole sheet of questions that people had come up with for a live session that I was going to do about breeding, and it was one of those times we had multiple litters at the same time, and I didn't get around to doing it. But thank you for reminding me, Jessica. I still have the sheet of questions, so I absolutely need to do that. I wonder if the questions are here. Well, hey, look at that. Fantastic. I think this is the sheet of questions. Yep. Okay, great. We might just do it tonight. Okay. Okay. What is the future breeding plans for the poms? Okay, so we are not going to be breeding any more poms. We are down to our last two, which is Aster and Logan, and they will actually be going to their future breeding homes probably in like mid-January. And then we will just have Bear and Iceland, which are, Iceland of course is spayed, and Bear is neutered, and they're staying with us. But then that'll be it for poms. So everybody else will be a standard poodle. Okay, Crystal said, when do you worm a new litter and what do you use? So I use a couple of different things, and I have an entire worming protocol that I follow, and it's actually a protocol that I got from Badass Breeder, which, if you don't know, it's a breeding program that you can use. So we use Safeguard, which is I think the medical one is Pyrotel, I think is what it's called. I have to go get all that stuff. So maybe what we'll do is I'll get all of that stuff together, and maybe this weekend we'll do the actual going over everything for the breeding, and I'll have all the stuff here so I can be prepared for you guys, so I can actually show you. Because I'm really bad at, I have all of the directions written on the actual bottles for when to give them and how much, but I don't remember all of the names because it's a couple of different things. So Crystal, as far as when do I worm, I do it when they're 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then again around 5 weeks, depending on if we're having any issues, if we're having any loose stools, how they do when they transition to solid food. So that's just kind of a transition. We kind of keep it flexible in there. The other thing you can do is, if you've had previous litters before with your female and you know that puppies end up having a lot of worms, you can actually treat both mom and the puppies, I think it's like 3 days after they're born, But like I said, I'll get all of that stuff together so that we can do a live session and go over it. Okay. Crystal said, yeah, it only happens when she's nervous. That's interesting. I wonder what's causing it. It's just some serious gas, I guess. I would have the vet check it just to be sure. Because the glands may just be full, in which case, if the vet was to express them, then, you know, she may still have the gas, but it wouldn't be as bad. Treva said, congratulations. Thank you. It is going to be awesome. We're very excited. Crystal's excited about the classes. Yeah, they're really going to be great. Hey, Jaleese is here. Great. Oh, Jennifer's got a question. How much wheatgrass can I feed and how often? So you can let your dog eat it every day. You can just cut off just a little bit, right? So maybe this much, right? This length. And then maybe, like if you got the grass together in your fingers, maybe this much. That's a very technical measurement, by the way, this much. Yeah, it really just depends on your dog and how much they like it. I know with my dogs, I have to put the plant way up high behind the kitchen sink where they can't get it because they will just demolish the whole thing. They love it. So, but they're big into eating grass and leaves. Now they want to eat leaves all the time. I'm like, you guys, you're killing me. Don't eat leaves. So, yeah, you will know very quickly if they eat too much because it'll come back up. So just do a little bit. They don't need a whole lot. I kind of treat it like a treat. I'll get it every now and then, or if PetSmart, if the little wheatgrass plants are on sale at PetSmart, I'll get 1 or 2 of them. And that lasts me, one plant probably lasts me about almost 2 weeks, I think. That last one, I kept it alive in the window there. It was pretty good. Got it to regrow a couple of times. That was nice. Okay. Crystal said, I've been watching all of your YouTubes. Do you have a litter training time frames? Like the mouth, breath, smelling, and your potty training, and just work with them. So for litter training, if you're trying to train a newborn litter to use a certain substrate for pottying, right? So whether that's potty pads or, actual puppy litter, right? Or some people like to use the fake grass, right? You can do that. You should be starting that at 3 weeks when they start toddling around. And the key to doing any kind of substrate training, right, for potty training for puppies, you want to start doing that and you want to make sure that you've got it. So like, okay, so this is the bed where mom sleeps. You want to have that substrate right up there next to the bed, because what the puppies do is they wander off from mom, they go potty, and then they come right back. So, and then as far as working with them goes, if you take a look at the ENS videos, right, early neurological stimulation, you can see that we start that around day 3 all the way until day 16, day 17. And those are the videos that you'll see where we're holding the puppy upright, on their back, upside down, do something like a Q-tip or something in between the toes, touch them to a cold surface, right, give them back to mom. And I will say that the caveat to that, when you're doing ENS, or anytime you're working with a puppy, is if the puppies are not feeling well, don't do it. So always just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. But yeah, Crystal, those are great questions. We're gonna have to go over that in the breeding live session because those are good. Okay, Crystal has a call and she's got to go. You're very welcome. Thank you, Crystal. Okay, Jersey said, how are Twix and Gooby? They're doing great. They're doing great. Their new owner actually has a cat, which they had never been around before, and they love the cat, which I was very happy to see. I knew that Gooby would do really well with a cat because he just loves everybody. But Twix, I had a little bit of concern just because she loves to chase the squirrels, right, when they're on the fence. But apparently she's doing really well with the cat. So yeah, super happy about that. Okay. Chantal says, Coco is on another round of antibiotics for her skin infection. It has improved 75%, but she isn't quite there. My question is, she is very hungry. Is it because she's healing? Yes, probably. She's maintaining her weight, but I've had to increase her food and add probiotics daily, the NWC Naturals, along with digestive enzymes. Yeah, I would say if she's hungry, give her food. Anytime that your dog is dealing with any kind of medical issue, if they seem like they're just ravenously hungry, give them the food. You can always kind of keep an eye on their weight to see if they become overweight later, right? And then you can address it then. But when the body is healing, it burns up a lot of energy. So if she's hungry, give it to her. Now, the other thing I know with Coco, you were talking about doing the B12. Any type of B12 supplement, whether it's a shot or if it's in a multivitamin or it's, a vitamin in and of itself, any of those B vitamins are going to make your dog hungry. So just something to keep in mind. If you do them regularly or give them regularly, your dog is they're going to feel hungry all the time. It's just one of those things. I love to recommend that for elderly dogs who are just not excited about eating anymore. Give those babies a B complex and they're just like eat everything. They're just like rah, 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 rah. Jennifer says Stormy loves it with the wheatgrass. Yeah, good. That's good. It's good for her. Hey, Anastasia. Okay, great. Sparky just ate a small piece of Christmas cactus. Should I panic? Okay. I'm not familiar with what a Christmas cactus is. So you're going to have to help me out there. Is that a cactus like that have spines on it? Or is that the kind of cactus where it's just got like the big flat kind of leafy looking appendages, but there's no spines? You said it's a small piece. I would watch for any drooling or any vomiting or dry heaving, right? Those would all be bad signs. But Christmas cactus. See, now I wish I could get into the iPad. Well, that didn't work out. Your iPad is disabled because you don't know the password. I'm fired. I'm sorry, Anastasia, I can't look it up. If at any point you're concerned about your dog eating something, you can always call poison control, or you can call your local ER vet, right? And they will tell you over the phone if it's problematic. Hey, Liz is here. Hey, Liz. Okay. Eric says, my 15-year-old Pom started on Hill's KD kidney food. became uninterested. That's because it's garbage. So I just switched him to Royal Canin per my vet. That's kill me. He eats some of it, but wanted to know what was the best to add to him for him to eat. He's 6.5 pounds, dropped a pound over the last 3 months, so I want him to eat. His kidney levels almost went to normal after the Hills food, but now we're trying to change to something that will keep him eating. So, my recommendation would be to get him on a fresh food diet specifically designed for dogs with kidney issues. Part of the challenge with prescription foods is that if you're doing, did you specifically say the Kibble? Hold on, I'm rereading. Okay, Eric, let me know if you're doing the Kibble or if you're doing the canned food. So the problem with the prescription diets is that they help with the issue that they're prescribed for a certain amount of time, and then what ends up happening is they cause other problems. So, for example, the last client that I helped with a dog with kidney issues that was on the Hills kidney food, the dog ended up getting diabetes from the kidney food. So it's because okay, he said the canned food. Okay, well that's slightly better. As far as adding to the food, I would have to look at my notes about some of the kidney diets, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to start just randomly adding things in that are not going to be helpful. So Eric, send me a private message and let me look and see what might be some good options. I need to review the ingredients of the Royal Canin kidney diet because I'm not as familiar with that one as I am the Hills. So yeah, I'll have to take a look at that for you. But send me a private message and we'll figure something out. I know it's challenging because sometimes they just don't want to eat the food. And if you look at the ingredients, you can see why. Okay. Okay, Melissa says, in August, I adopted a 1-year-old Boston. He's very lean. We do an all raw diet. We switched to Answers Raw only. He's always looking for food. Not sure if it's just his nature or if he needs more food. He's not gained weight or lost weight since I've had him. Okay, so Bostons are notorious for being high energy, right? It's like, they're like Energizer bunnies of the dog world. So chances are, if he's lean, that's good. If he's skinny, right, like you can feel the bones of his spine, okay, then we need to add some additional food. And you can add more of what he's already eating, or you can add just more meat. But what I don't want you to do is don't add a bunch of fat. People have a tendency to think, oh, my dog is too thin, let me add a bunch of fat. Okay, no, don't do that. You want to give him more protein because he's burning off all of that energy. So I would just feed him more and see how he does. Most Bostons at that age will eat everything under the sun. So what I would do is give him a half portion more, right? So if he was eating a cup a day, I would bump it up to a cup and a half and see how he does for a week. See if he's still acting like he's hungry. If he is, okay, bump it up to 2 cups, right? And I'm just throwing out cups as an example. But you don't want to, again, do a huge increase and then the next thing you know, he's ballooned out and you're like, Allie, you made my dog fat. So yeah, just a little bit at a time. The other thing you can do is incorporate more treats. You can do the raw meaty bones. Those are great. That'd be really good for his teeth as well. If you just adopted him, maybe his teeth aren't in the best shape. That would be a great option. That's also additional calories. Treats are a great way to work in, treats or bones are a great way to work in extra calories. Okay, Davita says, how do you feel about essential oils, good quality? ? I would say good quality ? So I've been in all of the essential oil groups, right, for pets. I've researched every single brand that's out there, even brands that are claimed to be, you know, created by vets and things like that. And I personally don't use them. The only oil that we use is CBD, and we did a lot of research with that. Hey there.
Hi.
Everybody loves your Christmas tree.
Do they?
Yeah, they said it was beautiful. And they like my necklace too.
Watch out.
Okay. Did you see me?
Dryer sheet.
You saw her attack me with that dryer sheet, right?
Oh my God.
Okay.
I'm about to take out the fan.
You need to calm down, okay? She's getting crazy over there. So, I recommend that if you want to use essential oils, that you seek out a professional. Either a holistic vet or an herbologist.
Yeah, because they make kinds that are pet safe.
They do. They make kinds that are pet safe. They also make pet safe candles. We don't use those either. So there's the problem is there's no regulation. So it's very challenging to find something that you can say for sure is good quality because it's not even regulated for human use, let alone pet use. And you'll get so much conflicting information about, oh, this oil is safe, but this one's not. And then on top of all of that, bye, nice to see you. On top of all of that, then you have to figure out how much to dilute it, what to dilute it with, because you don't just use it straight out of the bottle. So there's so much that goes into it. There are people who use essential oils that have good results with them. I say speak to a professional. My knowledge of essential oils is very basic, and just in doing the research to have something to recommend to you guys, because I've been asked this question about essential oils from the very beginning, I never found something that I was comfortable with. It's always something, right? I can't verify the sourcing, or it claims that everything is all organic and hunky-dory, and then come to find out they're being sued because some lab tested their oils and they're garbage, right? So for me, it's too many variables. I just choose to avoid them. So Deborah said that the Christmas cactus is not poisonous. Thank you, Deborah, for looking that up. Oh, I just had Susan here. I should have had her unlock the iPad. I'm fired. Okay. Deborah said, it's not a recommended veggie by any means, but not poisonous. Thank you for saying that. There are a lot of people who eat cactus. I'm sure there's dogs that eat it too. Okay, so Eric, you were talking about you tried adding sweet potato and pumpkin. I don't recommend adding any potatoes and no legumes. Don't do that, because then you'll potentially be looking at a taurine deficiency, which could affect your dog's heart. So stay away from legumes, stay away from any kind of potato. We'll find you something. Okay. Michelle said, I'm wanting to make a change and feed my dog better. After hearing everyone talk about how bad the food is, Diamond, okay, he is a 7-year-old Pom with no current issues. He will also be getting a new pup in a few months. Well, congrats on that. You know, as a side note, Michelle, to your question here, I just want to say that getting a puppy while also having an older dog is the best way to keep your older dog young. It can be challenging sometimes because in the beginning, they just want to be old and crotchety and they're like, oh, this little whippersnapper, don't get on my bed, you know. But if you can be there for them and transition them through that kind of initial, I don't like the puppy phase, the puppy will absolutely keep them young. So that was one of the best things that we did for Bear, was to get a puppy, because within a month he was playing with the puppy, he was running around trying to keep up with the puppy, which was great. So anyway, I'm sorry, I know that wasn't your question, but I just wanted to throw that out there because that's great that you're going to be getting a puppy. So, I'm glad that you're wanting to make a change in the food. That's fantastic. What I would recommend that you do is that you choose a food that is all life stages. So that way, when you bring your puppy in, you can also feed them that food, right? Because it's approved for puppies. And that'll just make your life a little bit easier. The one that I usually recommend people start out with is Nature's Logic, just because they have an awesome variety. It's minimal carb, which is good. And it's also all life stages. So I tell people to start out with the beef or the pork. Pork is really great because dogs usually haven't ever had pork before. And so they eat it and they're like, oh my gosh, this is the best food ever. So yeah, so I would definitely give that one a try. If you do your shopping somewhere specific, like PetSmart or Chewy.com, post a comment and let me know where you shop, and that way I can kind of give you a suggestion that, you know, would be based on where you like to shop. The Nature's Logic, you can get that at your local privately owned pet store, right? Like a boutique store, or you can order it through Chewy if you like to shop at Chewy. But yeah, one thing that you will see with having switched from Diamond to something else, you're going to see that there's a lot less poop, and then the poop is not so smelly. So, and you may also see an increase in your Pom's quality of their coat. So, just a little something to look forward to there. Okay, I can't afford to go crazy with the cost, but like some ideas you can suggest. Okay, sorry, yeah. I hadn't gotten to that part of the question yet. So, let me try the iPad again. Hang on. I would love to be able to pull it up here. Try again in 5 minutes. I'm gonna keep going. This thing's just gonna lock itself down completely. Okay. So yeah, Michelle, another great option is the Only Natural Pet Meat Max, which you can get at PetSmart or on Chewy.com. It's a jerky style food, so it's got a little bit softer texture than, say, a Kibble, which is great, especially for a senior, but also for a puppy. So that might be a good option as well. Okay. Melissa said, my younger one is the Energizer Bunny, but this guy is very chill. Okay, that's great. Bostons are usually not very chill. My other one is very solid, but this guy is very long legs and lean. I can feel his ribs and spine, but can't see them. If you look at him, you'd say he's lean and not skinny. Okay, so if you want to do the test, right, to see if your dog is too thin, is if you can feel the spine, right, and it feels like your knuckle, that's too thin. If you feel the spine and it feels like in between your fingers, right, that's good. Or the pad of your finger right here, that's good. So, but if it feels like the knuckle, right, if you were to run your fingers over your knuckles, you feel that, that's too thin. So that might give you a better gauge to try to see. Okay. Okay, Deborah said, my knowledge of essential oils is not basic, and I can tell you it's simply not safe due to the extreme concentration and high possibility of user error. Yes. Yeah, Deborah, I agree with you 100%. It's, you know, even if you're just using it in a diffuser, right? It's still, there's too much room for user error. And Jaleesa said Cactus is delicious. I love that. Yeah, user error makes me scared. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, Michelle said, where do I find that? I can go anywhere. Yes, we use Chewy. Okay. Yeah, Chewy.com. PetSmart for the only natural pet. Yeah, you can find those there. Fantastic. Okay. We got down to the bottom of the questions there. I always have to close my thing because the dogs, they always want to drink my drink. It could just be water, you guys. The fact that it's in my cup, they will decide, hey, mom's got this really delicious drink, let's go drink it. That's why everything I have has a lid. I like to decorate my cups with stickers. It's my superhero cup. Okay. Yeah, try the only natural pet. I'll have to look at some of the other kibbles. Michelle, I know that the Nature's Logic, it can be a little bit pricey. So I'd have to take a look at the list to see what might be a better option for you. Okay. He's definitely on the thin side then. Okay, I will have to work putting a little weight on him. He does get treats. We use the Meat Max. Good. That's a great way to put on weight because the only natural pet Meat Max is actually a complete food. So I use it as treats because A, the dogs love it. B, it's a jerky treat, so it's very easy to break it up into little pieces for training purposes. It's very easy for puppies to eat, and they love it. So yeah, you could even start mixing some of that into his food. Since you're already using it as a treat, he would love that. Okay. Sorry, I was getting a message. They also get a bully stick daily. Okay, so bully stick is going to run around anywhere from 60 to 80 calories. So that's good. That's good that you're doing that. So if you did a bully stick and a raw meaty bone, that would be a great way to get calories in. I don't recommend doing more than one bully stick in a day, just because they can be a little bit on the fattier side rather than having more protein. So, but yeah, that's great. Okay, great. Good. All right. Well, we got to the bottom of the list there. So let me try my iPad again. See if we could help Michelle find something here. Okay, so oh no, now I can't try for 15 minutes. The iPad is just mocking me at this point. And it's just me and her. So why does it have a passcode on it? She's fired. That's what I say. By the way, just a little side note here. If you don't have a passcode on your cell phone, then you should absolutely set one, because if you are pulled over and the police officer wants to look at your phone, they can ask to see your phone. They cannot ask for you to put in your password. Now, if you have a thumbprint one, right, or the type that just sees your face and does facial recognition, they can use that to unlock your phone. But if there's a password, they can't. So there you go. I just helped you get out of a ticket. Also, don't text and drive. That's not safe. Don't do that. Okay. Just throwing that out there. Because there's no questions, okay? This is what happens when we don't have questions. I start telling you random things that you may or may not need to know. And Matt is finally here. Matt, we've been waiting for you. What are you doing all this time? I'm like, okay, guys, just hang on. Matt will be here soon. I'm just kidding. Just poking at you. I'm glad that you're here. We had a lot of people join tonight. That's fantastic. Okay, so what are we going to talk about? What's happening? I know that we've had a lot of people. Hey, Matt. I know that we've had a lot of people that have joined the group recently, and make sure that you look at the recommended food list that's in the announcements section of the group, and that's at the top of the group, so make sure you check that out. And don't forget to take a look at the files. I see a lot of people asking questions that we've got a file on it, you know, tear staining, various complete and balanced recipes that you guys can use. Also, feel free to share those recipes with other people. Get them to join the group. That's fantastic. My husband told me about that the other day. Yeah, that's one of those things. Get you out of a ticket. Crystal said, when do you plan on starting your classes? So it'll definitely be next year. I'm currently working on all of the coursework so that everything will be available. And I'm just trying to streamline, you know, the courses that will be free. Obviously, there will be courses that you have to pay for. And then, you know, just kind of breaking it up so that it's easy for people to transition from topic to topic. Or if there's something specific that you want to learn, right? You may not want to buy all of them, right? You just want to take one class. So I'm just working out all the logistics of that now. But yeah, it should be live next year. I'm pretty excited. It'll be good. Everybody's blowing up my phone. They're sending me messages. Okay. Okay, so Michelle, it's the only natural pet is the name of the brand. And it's not all of their foods. There's only 2 that are approved. Excuse me. One of them is called Meat Max. The other one is the Raw Nibs. But the Meat Max is going to be your jerky style food. Sorry, I got the hiccups. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. That's a puppy yawn. That has nothing to do with you guys. Don't be offended. Getting up, making sure puppies going potty training. Hey, it looks like Deborah put the link up there. Thank you for that. Okay, Matt, what are you saying? My dog needs something to help him poop. Dun 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 dun! Wouldn't be a live session if we didn't talk about poop. He was treated for a GI infection and they gave me an anti-diarrhea med. Okay. I stopped that yesterday, still waiting for a bowel movement. So, okay, when was the last time that he ate? And is he acting like he's uncomfortable? Let me know. Give me some more information here. You know, what time was the last time that he ate? Does he seem really bloated? Because sometimes when they're on an anti-diarrheal, it kind of stops everything up, right? To obviously keep them from having diarrhea. So then it takes a day or 2 for their body to kind of get back on track. So I don't want to recommend anything until I have more information. So let me know, Matt, when was the last time the dog ate? Did they eat a full meal, right? And is the dog bloated, showing any kind of discomfort? Okay. Let me know. Are they drinking water? Sometimes dogs that have had diarrhea, they become dehydrated. Okay, Davita says, very happy I found your group, learning so much here. I advise anyone asking food questions in my local pet to join. Fantastic, thank you. That's so great. Oh, Jennifer's got a question. How do I stop a tiny Pomeranian from bullying a Pomapoo? She keeps taking food and treats and the other one has, and then the other one goes for the other food bowl or treat and Stormy goes to steal that one from the other one again. Okay, this is very typical behavior of a puppy in general. So with Pomeranians, they have a tendency to be one of 2 ways when it comes to things like food or treats. They have a tendency to either be the boss, which in this case is your puppy, or the opposite, which is your Pomapoo in this instance. So basically what your puppy is doing is saying, I want all the good stuff is mine. And the other dog, to avoid a conflict, is saying, okay, well, you take that stuff and I'll go get this one. And it's like this vicious cycle. So what I do is I make sure that the food bowls are a certain distance apart. It can be at either end of the kitchen. It can be 4 feet apart, right? Whatever's conducive for your space. Make sure there's enough space between the bowls that you can stand in between them. And what you're going to do is put food down for your puppy, put food down for your Pomapoo, and then you're going to stand there in the middle, and you're not going to let the puppy over to the bowl with the Pomapoo. And what that's going to do is establish, okay, you have to eat what's in your bowl. Other dog eats what's there in their bowl. And then when everybody's done, pick the bowls up. So to encourage them to eat a little bit faster, you can always mix in some broth or something like that so that the food is very enticing just for a couple of days while you start this new routine. But what we have a tendency to do as humans, because we're busy doing other things, is we put food down, right? And then dogs fend for themselves. And what ends up happening is that the milder of the personalities, in this case, the Pomapoo, is just kind of throwing her hands up saying, okay, crazy Pomeranian, you just do whatever you're going to do. The other thing you can do is feed them in separate rooms. You can do that. I really prefer the method where you're standing in the middle and you say, no, hey, shh, right? And you make the puppy stay at her bowl. But I know the small breeds, sometimes they have a tendency to like grab little pieces of food and tote it off. Make sure that you're feeding them on a schedule, right? So that they're hungry, so that they go ahead and eat their food when it's in front of them. That will help. So yeah, I would give that a try. That system has worked very well for me, especially with having multiple dogs, because it keeps everybody at their own bowl. And once you work through the initial training part, where you set the expectation of, okay, you're going to stay at your bowl, you're going to stay at your bowl, and, you know, none shall pass, right? And you put your staff down and you're like, none shall pass. So once you get through that initial training phase, then it becomes a lot easier. And that way you can start doing something else. You don't have to just stand there and watch them. So that's what I would recommend. Now, as far as treats go, that one's going to be a little more challenging. If it's like a chew or a bone, then I would work on teaching both of them to go to their bed or their respective place, right? You teach them place so that they go to their respective areas to lay down and chew a bone or a chew or something like that. The other thing you can do, this is a big one with Pomeranians, is they can be challenged with not having very much impulse control. So you go to hand them a treat and your Pomapoo probably takes the treat very nicely and your Pomeranian puppy like wants to take your fingers off, right? Like, oh my gosh, like they've never eaten before in their life. So one thing you can do is teach your puppy to wait. So have somebody else work with the Pomapoo in another room and just one-on-one time with your puppy. And what you're going to do is tell them to wait. And I like to associate that with a sit or a lay down. But when they're a puppy, you know, they don't necessarily have to know those commands to figure out what wait is. And what you're going to do is you're going to hold the treat in your fingers right here. So it's mostly closed up. And you're going to hold it so that they can see it, but it's completely out of their reach. And you're going to wait. And the moment that they stop jumping on you, jumping around, barking, running around, doing circles, the moment that they sit down or lay down, right, they're giving you eye contact, then you want to mark that behavior, yes, and give them the treat. And then after you do that a couple of times, Poms are smart, they pick it up very quickly, do that a couple of times for a couple of days, then you can start incorporating the word wait. And then once you get to wait and they wait for that treat, then you can start incorporating that for the food. Wait, then you put the food down, right? So you'll find that teaching a little bit of impulse control can go a long way in dealing with other issues. So, for example, Sega wanted to take the chew bone away from Kennedy, right? Kennedy's our youngest puppy, and I told her to wait. And she knows what that means, so she immediately stopped what she was doing, gave me eye contact, I called her over to me, and started playing with her with a toy. So I distracted her from what she was doing and gave her positive reinforcement, right? So that won't work every time. it worked that time because it wasn't, you know, a super high value chew. But doing things like that where you can kind of pull their attention away, see if you can get your puppy's attention onto something else rather than harassing your palm of poo. And that'll help. Okay, he ate this morning. He's pretty active, no bloat. Okay, I would see if he would eat more. I know you're on Pacific time. See if he'll eat again. Sometimes just the act of eating can stimulate them to go potty. So just do your normal meal, however you normally do it, and let's see if we can get him to poo. If he does not poo before the night is over, which made me think of that song, Before the Night is Over. Okay, sorry. So if he doesn't poop tonight, then I would give him just like half a spoonful of coconut oil. And that might be enough to kind of get things going. You don't want to do too much though, because you'll be right back in Diarrheaville. And let's just be honest, nobody wants to visit Diarrheaville. So there you go, Matt. I hope that helps. Chantal said, my pup went 4 days without pooping after metronidazole. Yeah, I'm bad at pronouncing. That's why I couldn't be a vet, because I can't pronounce all the crazy medication names. Metronidazole. Yeah, that one is particularly rough on their system. He hasn't pooped in 2 days. Yes, eating regularly. Okay, is he drinking water? 50-50 rice and meat max beef. Okay, Matt, you got to give me all the info here. You're killing me. Okay, no rice. Take the rice out. That's the problem. No rice. Okay, so rice causes inflammation. Rice backs the system up. Okay, which is why vets recommend it when dogs get diarrhea. No more rice. Take all that rice out. Do just the meat max beef. You can add in some beef broth if you want to, or bone broth if you've got it. That's fantastic. Yeah, take the rice out. That's the problem. Okay, good. Whew. Glad we got that figured out. Oh, I pushed a button. So sorry. Okay, she does it with trachea, cow ears, and definitely a vicious cycle. Yeah, it's because those are high value, right? The other thing that I would do, Jennifer, is I would start doing the trade up game, which I talk about in my standard poodle puppy video, the puppy video that I just did, that's got Kennedy on there. I show you how to do the trade up game, or you can watch some YouTube videos on it. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to have something that's even more high value, right? Like a treat or a piece of hot dog, right? Something they never get, and they're just like, what? And they have to have it, and they'll let go of that chew. You're going to offer the treat, make her let go of the chew, take the chew, give her the treat, and then wait, and then give her back the chew. And that will help kind of curb that I need to, get everything here with me, and all of the treats are mine, and all of the chews are mine, and everything is mine, right? So that'll kind of help curb that behavior. Okay. Melissa said, this is exactly what I have to do with my guy. The one that I got at 6.5 weeks, so gentle and takes his time with food. The other guy inhales his food no matter what I feed him. And he tried to take Kylo's food, and Kylo went after him. I started standing between them. Good. And once Theo is done, I make him leave the kitchen. Now when he's done, he looks at me and leaves the kitchen. Great. Yeah, absolutely. It's all about just setting those boundaries. Just tell them what you expect of them and then follow through. Okay, great. Okay, Jeanette says, hi, Allie, what is a good chew to help with cleaning teeth? So, all of the chews that I recommend, right, the trachea, the bully stick, beef scapular, let's try that again, buffalo scapula, they all clean the teeth to a certain extent. If your dog already has good teeth, right, they don't have any tartar buildup, then you can usually do things like the trachea, the bully stick, chicken feet, and they're usually good to go, and you can kind of maintain that level of clean. If they already have a little bit of tartar buildup, the only way you're going to get rid of that is with raw meaty bones that are size appropriate, that you give under supervision, right? And we've posted a couple of infographics in the group. So do a search for raw bones and you can see what sizes are a good fit for your dog. But that is the only way that you can reverse that tartar buildup is with raw meaty bones. Okay, Matt said, Roger that. Fantastic. Ditch the rice. Okay, Nadia said, what food is best for my pup? He just turned 1. I was told, I think that's supposed to be Hill's Science Diet by my vet, but someone told me that food isn't good. Yes, that's correct. That food is not good. I would pull it up on the iPad and show you the ingredients if I could. I can't because I'm locked out of it. So the issue with the Science Diet brand is that there's a lot of byproducts, corn, gluten meals, silica husk, right? Which is just awful stuff. And sometimes just straight up sugar that's been added to the food. So yeah, the Science Diet is definitely not good. What I would do is take a look at the recommended food list, which is in the announcements of the group, and see what might work for you as far as price range goes. There's a lot of different varieties in there. There's raw food, there's home cooked food, there's kibble, there's jerky style food like I was talking about earlier. There is freeze dried. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think there's some baked foods in there. So since your dog is 1, you can put them on an adult diet, right? So any of those foods would work. It's just going to depend on where do you like to shop, right? Do you like to shop Chewy.com? Do you like to be able to go to the store and get it from PetSmart? Whatever. So just take a look at the list and see what might be a good option for you, both with your budget and where you like to shop. Now, to answer your initial question, what food is the best food? That's either going to be a raw food or a home-cooked diet, in which case there are complete and balanced recipes located in the file section of the group. Yeah, and you can cook for your dog. You can do it yourself. You can do raw feeding yourself. And then you know exactly what's going into your dog food. And it's not as expensive as you think, and it does not take up as much time as you think. Those are the two things that people always ask me when they watch the videos on the Padfoot Palms YouTube channel. They're like, oh my gosh, you show like cooking all this food. It takes an hour and a half to cook up a 2-week batch for, at that time, it was 8 dogs. And it was, I think, $1.29 or $1.39 per dog per day. So, not bad. Most people spend more than that in their Starbucks addiction. So, it's just some food for thought. It doesn't take as much time, especially if you kind of meal prep it and get everything ready. So yeah, so take a look at the list in the announcements and take a look at those recipes and the files. Sorry, I'm just scooting you guys around here. Okay, great. Okay, well, that was it for questions. Take a drink break. Boop. What else you got? Oh, Nadia said I might give cooking as food a try. Nadia, if you will remind me, I will post a link to the videos. I have 2 home cooking videos where I show you kind of the process of how you can make things go easier and faster. But yeah, it's not as hard as people think it is. Jessica said, laugh out loud, I'm a Starbucks person. Yeah, me too. I like Starbucks. Chantal said prepared raw, like commercial raw, is cheaper than kibble in Canada. But there you go. Listen, they're doing everything right in Canada. I think we should all move there. That's what I think. Michelle said, me too. It sounds a lot cheaper than buying kibble. Absolutely. Okay, Eric wants to see the video too. Absolutely. Okay, don't let me forget, you guys. And what I'll do is I will, once we end the live session, it takes a minute to kind of download and post to Facebook. And what I'll do is post the link to the videos that I'm referring to so that you guys can see it. It's a lot of fun. It's before this whole COVID thing. I mean, I was making the food, it was every 2 weeks. Sometimes if I knew I was going to be super busy, I would just make a batch for a month and you just put it in little containers and freeze it and thaw it as you need it. It's great. And the dogs love it. My vets always raved about how all the dogs, they just had beautiful coats. The whites of their eyes were so white. Their teeth were clean. It's great. Okay. Oh, we got a good question. Can we mix raw with kibble? Yes, you can. So it is a common myth or misconception that you can't mix raw and kibble. The idea behind the myth is that kibble takes so much longer to digest that it would cause a problem in the digestive tract. So they actually did a study. It was just a 1 canine study, so very, very limited. But they did a little mini study where they did x-rays and scans of the dog, right? So they had scans from when the dog just ate kibble, scans from when the dog ate kibble and raw, and scans from when the dog just ate raw. And the difference in digestion time was only off by about 20 or 30 minutes. So very, very minimal. There are some raw foodists who will, cross their heart, hope to die, tell you, oh my God, no, you can't mix it. You're going to give your dog gas. You're going to give your dog bloat. You're going to give your dog all these problems. Assuming that your dog does not have some sort of digestive ailment, right, that may impede proper digestion, you can mix kibble and raw and it's perfectly fine. So, great question. Okay, Melissa said, on the container of the Answers food, it says 20 pounds, 4 to 6 ounces, and 40 pounds, 8 to 10 ounces. I usually feed him 6 to 7. Should I bump him up to 8 or straight 10 and cut back once he's got a little weight? Okay, completely up to you and what you're comfortable with. What I would do is, let's see, 40 and 8, sorry, it moved it, hang on. I would bump him up to 9 9 ounces. And that way you can kind of see, okay, are we gaining weight? Are we not gaining weight? And then it's a little bit easier to kind of pull back a little bit. If you go straight to 10 ounces, that's going to be giving him quite a bit more food. So what I'm trying to avoid is he's scarfing down large amounts of food, right? And then he starts putting on too much weight and you got to bring it back. And then he's like, oh, Mom, you put me on this diet. You're so mean. I'm hungry all the time, right? So I would do like, I would put him in about 9 and see how that goes. Ah, Melissa, great question. Can you do both raw and home cooked? Yes. And if you watch those videos that I'm going to link, that is exactly what I do. Yep. Because for some of the dogs, for example, Bear, who is missing some teeth in his old age, he does really well with home cooked. But I really like for organ meat to be raw. If your dog will eat it raw, it's really fantastic. The nutrients, the minerals, right, in those organ meats, it's really preferable for them to eat them raw. So what I found is if I blend them and mix them with something else like berries or sardines, right, it kind of covers up that strong organ flavor. And if you've ever eaten liver or anything like that, you know what I'm talking about. And that way I can then mix it raw, but blended, into their home cooked food, and they're none the wiser. So, but yes, the answer is yes. You can, pet parents put themselves in this little box, right? And they limit themselves so much, and it breaks my heart. You can mix anything you want to. There are days where we do kibble and fresh food and raw food and blended veggies and fermented veggies. And there are other days we do freeze-dried raw and home cooked and kibble. And don't put yourself in a box. Don't put your dog in a box, which sounds like a terrible experiment. Don't put your dog in a box. Let them have as much variety as you have in your diet. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying go crazy and start taking stuff out of the fridge and dumping it into your dog's bowl, and then you come back to me and you're like, Allie, I'm so mad my dog has diarrhea. Don't do that. But take a look at what you're eating. If you're prepping chicken tonight to feed your family, cut off the end of the chicken. Or, you know, if you're doing chicken breast and you've got that that long tendon or sinew that kind of runs through the middle, cut that off, but don't be so neat about it. So it's still got some meat on it. Give it to your dog, right? I'm big about this. I'm chopping veggies. I've got bell peppers. And you know how you kind of cut the top off and you get all the seeds out, but there's still kind of a little bit left at the top of the pepper? Pull those off, right? That's good pepper meat. Like, don't just put that in your compost pile or throw it away. Pop it off of there, make sure there's no seeds, and give it to your dog. My dogs love it. And it's good for them to have that kind of variety. So, I made a smoothie the other day and I put way too much fruit in it, and it was just fruit and water. I didn't put any juice or anything like that in it. There weren't any supplements in it. It was just frozen fruit and water. And I made too much. The dogs had awesome treats that day. I put some of it in my little silicone molds, popped those in the freezer for treats for later. Took a spooned some out into everybody's bowl, and they had the delicious, breakfast smoothie that I was having, right? Don't let stuff go to waste. Remember, back in the day, that's how people fed their dogs. Before there was commercial dog food garbage, that's how people fed their dogs. What they were eating, then the dogs were eating. Right? So, raw, home cooked, freeze dried, kibble, all of it. Feel free to mix it up. Right? Give your dog some variety. Okay, Davita said, you recommended raw bones earlier for plaque removal. Can we give raw bones to a senior dog who has never eaten raw? Yes. I recommend that you start with something smaller first. So, like I said, let's say you're prepping ground beef for dinner tonight. Just take a pinchful, right? Like if you made it into a tiny meatball, be like this big, and give that to your dog first, right? Let them, because what people don't realize is they go to give their dogs raw, and the dog has never had raw food before. So just like if you were to give them, some other commercial food that they had never had before, right? You can induce diarrhea because they don't have the microbiome in their gut to handle this new food, right? And we do this to ourselves because we feed our dogs one thing forever and ever, amen, because that's what the vet told us to do. So give your dog just a small piece of some kind of raw meat first, see how they do. Then, okay, next day, all right, let's do another small piece of something else. Maybe it's a little piece of chicken, right? Then you can start to introduce the raw meaty bones. So you don't want to do too many bones, especially for a senior, because it is additional calcium in their system. So, if you give them too many, it can cause diarrhea, constipation. But if you start out with something small, relatively easy to chew, I always recommend people start with a chicken foot. It's very easy for you to hold on to the end of it so that they can kind of chew the other side. It's easy to watch them chew it. People get concerned about the dog, toting off some raw bone and going and laying on their bed. You can feed them in the kitchen or in a bathroom, somewhere where there's floor that's easily cleaned. You could do it in their crate, right? Take a bed out, just have the crate bottom in there. You could do that. So just try to do a slow introduction first, especially if your dog's never had raw, and you'll get better results because each dog is different. I've had dogs that, I can give them a straight up raw meaty bone, first raw item they've ever had. They're totally fine. No issues. And then other dogs, I do this exact same thing, diarrhea for 3 days. So it just depends on the dog, and you just kind of got to work with them through it. Okay. Anastasia says, I do raw and home cooked. Da-da-da, that's awesome. Okay. How much raw should I give them when mixing with kibble? So in order to keep everything balanced for the most part, it needs to be less than 40% of the bowl. So if you're looking at your bowl, right, as like a pie chart, you want it to be less than 40%, just so you can make sure that they're still getting all of their minerals and vitamins, and they're meeting those nutrient markers of what they need for a complete and balanced meal. So you can just kind of eyeball it. It doesn't have to be an exact science, but just keep in mind that if you're going to be doing any more than 40%, then I recommend that you make one of the meals from the raw recipes that are in the files, and that way you could mix it however you want. You could do 50-50, because you're taking two complete and balanced meals, right, and putting them together. And the idea is that over time, your dog would get all of the nutrients that they need. So, Chantal said, is Coco weird? She loves raw liver or raw hearts. Some dogs love it, which is great. Some dogs hate it. It's just one of those things, especially liver, because it's got a very strong flavor. So, okay, Anastasia said, is raw chicken safe? Yes, it is. Dogs have a completely different digestive system than people do, right? Because you think of raw chicken and immediately people freak out. They're like, oh my God, raw chicken, what are you talking about? But dogs have a completely different digestive system. They have a much shorter intestinal tract, right? Which means that they're not as susceptible to parasites and viruses and things of that nature. Sometimes they can get them, but for the most part, they're not going to be affected by things like E. coli, salmonella, things that would kill us, right? So if you think about it, what are some of the grosser things that dogs do? Well, one of them is they eat poop. If we did that, we would die. We would be dead. We would all be dead. E. coli, salmonella, you name it, dead. Dogs do it all the time like it's Tootsie Roll candy, right? And they're fine. And that's because their digestive system is built to handle those type of bacteria and organisms, things that would, kill us as humans. So, is raw chicken safe? Yes, it is. I always recommend that you start out doing something smaller if you're just introducing your dog to raw. But yeah, we give our dogs raw chicken, raw beef, raw pork. The only time that you start to get into more advanced levels that you really need to be careful about what you're feeding is if you're feeding wild game. So if you have a hunter in the family, then that's when you have to start taking into account, okay, you need to freeze it for, it's usually anywhere from 60 to 90 days to kill off any parasites, right, that might be in a wild animal. Then you can feed it to your dog. So, but just for the basic proteins that your average Joe would come across in a grocery store, yeah, it's totally fine. Yeah. All right. Okay, great. Oh, Tanya said, I finally found Nature's Logic without rosemary. Great. Is it the new Distinction line? I don't remember all of the ingredients. But that's good. For those of you who don't know, rosemary can be seizure triggering for dogs that are either prone to having seizures or that might be prone to having seizures. So I recommend that you avoid it. If your dog doesn't have seizures, then, no need to panic. Okay, great. All right, well, we got to the bottom of the list again. You've got really fantastic questions tonight. What you got? So I know that there have been a lot of questions about raw and home cooked, and I'm definitely going to have some more YouTube videos coming out about those topics, so definitely stay tuned for that. I know that a lot more people are interested in doing, DIY, whether it's raw or home cooked, for their dogs so that they can start, having more control over what's in their dog's food. Which I gotta tell you, that level of peace of mind, you can't put a price tag on that. When everybody was panicking about what they were feeding their dogs and there were all those recalls and everything that happened. I had not a worry in the world. So, okay, we got another question. Can I start the raw feeding by adding liver or hearts to their kibble? They've never had it before. Yes. The only thing I will say with liver is you have to be very careful. Liver should be no more than 5% of the diet. A lot of liver can be very high in vitamin A, which if you get too much vitamin A in a dog's diet can cause toxicity. So what I would recommend is if you're adding it to your dog's kibble, you just do just a small piece, right? Like this big. It's plenty. And then heart is actually fed as muscle meat rather than an organ, even though it is an organ. So yeah, you can definitely add that to your dog's food. They'll love you for it. Okay, Lynette said, is it possible in future to have recipes in ounces as well as grams? Yes, that's something that I'm working on for my book. So those recipes that are in the files are not recipes that I created. Those are recipes either from veterinarians or other canine nutritionists. And so I did not alter their recipes at all because I don't ever want someone to think that I'm, stealing their information, right? They put it out there free for everybody, but I don't alter it in any way. So I know in some cases, it's listed differently on each recipe. And for my recipe book, yes, I'll have everything broken down and all the measurements so that it's very easy. And it doesn't matter where you live, it'll fit for you, whatever system that you use for measurement. Paula said, you see the stuff to add to their water for teeth. Is this okay? I don't recommend it. A lot of them have a lot of different ingredients. Most of them are chemicals. And you have to think about it like this. It's not like your dog is going to take in the water and then slush it around in their mouth and spit it back out, right? They're going to swallow it. It's going to go into their digestive tract, right? So all of those chemicals are building up over time. So that's why I don't recommend any of the water additives. I am not a fan of them. Plus, if you're feeding bones and chews and raw meaty bones, then there's no need to put all those chemicals into your dog's body. And I have seen, there have been a couple of cases where dogs had adverse reactions to it. So I just don't recommend it. Okay, Melanie said, is it okay to feed 2 different brands of food, one for breakfast and one for dinner? Yes. My dog gets tired of the same food, so is it okay to do? Yes. For example, I'll give her Primer in the morning and Stella and Chewy freeze-dried for dinner. Yes. So, absolutely, those are fantastic. When you increase your dog's microbiome so that they can handle more foods and different types of foods, right? And it doesn't cause them any kind of gastric distress, then you can change the food as often as you want. You can change it, breakfast to dinner. You can change it 1 week and do one thing, 1 week and do another thing, right? Excuse me. So yes, all of that is fine. I assume the recipes will work for all breed and size dogs. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the recipes in the files are not breed specific. They are only species specific, meaning they are for dogs. You cannot feed the recipes in the files to cats. It does not meet their nutrient requirements. Okay, Michelle said, so I hear horrible stories about the flea and tick prevention pills and heartworm. Yes. So this is one of those things that it's hard for pet parents because there's not a whole lot you can do. What I do and what I tell people is if you are in an area that is very high risk, either for flea and tick or for heartworm, then you can give the prevention pills, but do it every 60 days instead of every 30 days. So because of the life cycle of a heartworm, it will actually be just as effective. So yeah, you can do it every 60 days. And I only give it during the summer. So during the winter, like right now, we're not doing heartworm, we're not doing flea and tick, because we have strong enough winters that, you know, there's no bugs. So that way they kind of get a break from it. What I recommend is that you do your research and do what you feel is best. If you're looking for recommendations, I do have a file in the file section of the group with the recommendations on what I use, but I always recommend that you do your own research, because with the pills, there is no safe pill. There is no safe option. The only thing I will say about heartworm is 100% do not get the shot. The Pro Heart 12 or 13 or 55, they come out with another one every year, and every year they get sued by pet families who they give the shot to, and then, you know, their dog passes away. It's very sad, and I wish that in this specific instance, when it comes to medications, I wish it was more heavily regulated, but really the companies just get away with everything. So yeah, so check out the files. There's lots of natural things that you can do for flea and tick prevention. And I've got them all listed there in the file. Okay, Eric says, maybe a tricky question. We'll see about that. But if you had to recommend the best all-purpose kibble, what would it be? Okay, so Eric, that is a tricky question, because there is no just one answer. As far as what I like to recommend to people, I like to start people out with the Nature's Variety pork. The Nature's Logic pork, sorry. That's where I like to start people out. It's got a lower carb count. There's only 1 grain in it. So that's usually a vast improvement from what people are usually feeding. But I also don't want people to take that as, oh, okay, Nature's Logic is the end all be all. I could just feed my dog that and that's it, right? Because I get that all the time, and that's not the answer. The answer is to feed a variety. So if I was going to recommend a very high quality all-purpose kibble, it would be the Nature's Logic, which, by the way, if you email them or reach out to their Facebook and let them know that you are from this group, they will send you free samples of whichever protein source you'd like to try. So I don't get paid to say that. It was just one of the companies that I found myself recommending a lot to people to try to help them on their journey, their nutritional journey for their dog. And so I reached out to them and said, hey, if I start sending people your way, will you send them samples? Because people wanted to try it, but they didn't want to have to buy a whole bag. And I completely understand that. So if it's something that you're interested in, send them a message and say, hey, Allie from Padfoot, Palms, Poodles, and Pals sent me over here for free samples. I'd like to try the pork, the sardine, and the rabbit. And guess what? They will send you free samples. So love them for that. So yeah, that's why I start people out. But it's not, the best thing on the market ever. It's just a very good, solid choice. Their sourcing is good. The quality is consistent. So yeah. That was a very good question. And it was tricky, Eric. I'm watching you. Jessica said, how long should I try a new kibble before deciding it's an issue? Diarrhea and soft stools. Okay, so I would need more information to properly answer this question. So, did the dog have diarrhea before starting the new food or after starting the new food? Also, are you doing a slow transition where you're just doing 25% new, 75% old food? Do that for 3 days. Then doing 50-50. Do that for 3 days. Then 75% new food, 25% old food. Do that for 3 days. So are you doing a slow transition, or did you just introduce a new food and now we've got diarrhea? So Jessica, let me know, and then I'll answer that question, and I'll tell you about Sega, because bless her heart, Sega, she's had a tough go of it. So when we got Sega, she was very much infested with worms. It's something that happens with puppies. It's unfortunate, but we got her back on track. And even after the worms were gone, she still had diarrhea. And I kept saying to Suze, I'm like, man, I really don't want to put her on some sort of medication. I mean, there's no way. We had clear fecals twice. So I was like, okay, it's not an issue of parasites. So I said, you know what? I'm going to change the food, because we were feeding a lamb-based food. I'm going to change it to fish. Fish is always my go-to whenever the dogs are having any sorts of ear infections, yeast infections, dry skin, anything like that. I'm always bringing them back to fish. Iceland does really well. She's very much prone to ear infections. And specifically with Sega, right, she just kept having these soft stools. And I was like, God, what is going on? Switched her to the fish food. Gone like that. Now we got solid poops. So apparently she was just sensitive to something, either the lamb itself or something that was in the lamb food. So that's just something to keep in mind. Low battery warning. That's terrible. Okay. Eric said, we fed Blue Buffalo for years. I used to work for them. So, yeah, very familiar with Blue Buffalo. That is another one of those companies that when they first started out, they had purpose, they had a mission, they had, a fairly good product as far as quality goes, and they just completely fell off the map. They used to tell us in the big corporate meetings that their food would never be found at Walmart, because that's where all, the low-end food is located. Yeah, guess where you can buy Blue Buffalo now? Walmart. So, yeah. So I feel you on that, Eric. I used to feed Blue Buffalo back in the day. So, I get you. Okay, Lynette found a new meat place to get weird organs. Okay, Lynette, I'm going to need for you to list some of these weird organs because let me just tell you, I love going to various ethnic markets and getting all sorts of meat and organs and stuff like that. So tell me your weird organs because I think that stuff's great. Okay, great. Deborah said, the nutrition breakdown I did the other day shows how much vitamin A is in liver, 1 ounce. In that case, if it's helping in explaining vitamin A amounts in liver. Fantastic. That's great. I love when there's a nutritional breakdown of specific organs or specific meats. That's always good. Because a lot of times we're working from these recipes, right? That maybe a vet created, but we're not really thinking about the actual breakdown of what's in the food or what's in that meat. So that's fantastic. What do you do for flea and tick prevention and heartworms? Yeah, so check out that file. It's I think it's called flea tick heartworm prevention recommendations in the files. And I list everything out. It's too much to list out here, but the basic recommendation, again, check that, is Wondercide for the yard. They have a yard treatment. Diatomaceous earth, again, for the yard. Wondercide on the dogs themselves. There's a spray that goes on them. There's also neem spray. And during the summer months, if there, is a need, then I will give a heartworm prevention pill every 60 days. But that very much depends on the weather. Are we traveling? Where are we going? So I try to keep it as minimal as possible. Okay, Chantal said, can I give human vitamin B comp? If it's, I would have to take a look at it. Because sometimes with a vitamin B complex, sometimes they get really crazy in the amounts that they're giving, and you'll want to be careful because cocoa is so small. So I'd have to take a look at it. Technically, the answer is yes, but I'd need to look at specifically which one you're using so I can tell you how much to give her. Because it may not be, she's so small, she may not need like a full pill. Okay, my guys don't like fish. Could I add the sardine kibble to raw? Add a little, or do they not need fish in their diet at all? Okay, so they don't like any kind of fish at all. There are some other options you could add if you're trying to boost the omegas. You could add chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp hearts, sorry. Those are all really great options. You can also do the various oils of the ones that I just mentioned. You could also try adding something like herring oil. But if it's just anything fishy, they don't like it. You could try the sardine kibble and add it to the raw and see if they would go for it. Ooh, Jamaican market. Yeah, sweetbreads, kidneys, absolutely. Okay, very funny. So one of the Asian markets I go to, there are not many white people shoppers there, which is how you know it's good, okay? And this this little lady came up to me and she was going through the meat area and she was like, I don't know what these are. They're calling them, the labels sometimes have really funny translations. They're calling them cowboy caviar. But this doesn't look like any kind of caviar I've ever seen. She's like, do you know what this is? So, in the most polite way possible, I had to explain to this little lady that she was holding bull testicles because that's what they were. So, she was horrified and proceeded to put them back. Oh man, but yeah, they have all sorts of stuff available. It's pretty crazy. I've seen various types of brains and all sorts of stuff. So, hey, Caitlin's here. Hey, Caitlin. Okay, I read somewhere last week that Stella and Chewy had a high fat content. Is that okay to feed my Spencer and Trish? Spencer has a heart murmur. They eat surf and turf. So Susan, if you will send me a private message and let me take a look. I am currently locked out of the iPad. I fail. So I can't look it up to tell you, and I don't know the fat percentage off the top of my head. So send me a private message. That way it will prompt me to go and look it up, and I'll double check it for you. So, but in general, high fat or even a moderate amount of fat does not necessarily mean that it's bad for the dog. So we'll just have to take a look at it. Okay, here's Eric again, getting tricky. Grain-free, question mark. Okay, so you left this pretty wide open, so I'm just gonna school you on grain-free. And Eric, I hope you're ready. I'm loving all your tricky questions, by the way. So grain-free is a marketing gimmick. It doesn't matter if it says grain-free, human grade, special unicorn grade food. It doesn't matter. It's all a marketing gimmick. Everything that you see on the front of the bag is designed to catch your eye, grab your attention, potentially make you hungry, right? We see all the beautiful foods floating around, to make you think that they are high quality, again, with all the beautiful foods floating around on the front of the bag. And there's also key marketing words, right, that people hear in the pet community all the time that often mimic human diets. So this whole grain-free movement started when people started to notice that because of how the wheat plant has been manipulated over the years, and now it's a highly GMO plant, that people are starting to have reactions to the wheat, right? And we know this now as celiac disease, being gluten sensitive or gluten intolerant, right? So during that time, when people were going grain-free, there's a puppy at the door. That is when pet food companies jumped on that bandwagon and said, hey, all these humans are out there looking for grain-free, gluten-free, so let's put it on their pet food bag, because that's how marketing works. So that's exactly what they did. They took the grains out of the food and they threw in peas and lentils and chickpeas to try to fill that protein slot, right, that they were using with all of that gluten, and labeled it as gluten-free and said, Here you go, gluten-free food. Now you can eat gluten-free and so can your dog, right? Meanwhile, what they didn't know is that they were causing all sorts of health problems by introducing these high levels of legumes and potatoes. And now we're looking at the aftermath of the lectins that are in those foods and how they're causing taurine to not be absorbed the way that it should be by the body, which leads us to dilated cardiomyopathy, DCM, which I have a video about. So grain-free. So should you feed grain-free? No. Should you feed grain inclusive? No. Should you feed human grade? No. Should you feed the special unicorn grade? No, because those are all marketing terms. What I want you to do, fellow Padfoot Palms, Poodles and Pals member, is learn to read the ingredient list. Do not look at the front of the bag. If you look at my videos in the nutrition playlist and I walk through the pet store, what do? I'm just going down to the food, turning the bag, reading the label, on to the next one. And that's exactly what you should be doing as a pet parent. Don't even look at the front of the bag. If you're thinking about getting a certain treat or a certain food, forget about what's on the front of the bag, because it's all marketing and most of it is lies because it's not regulated. They can say whatever they want. I can make a dog food tomorrow that's called super human grade, maximum potency, will turn your dog into a unicorn if you feed it to them the rest of their life food, will cure their cancer food. And guess what? No one could stop me, because you can make whatever claim you want. It's not regulated. So what do you do as a pet parent? Well, you have to learn to read the ingredients. Do not buy foods or treats or chews or anything like that that contain legumes, peas, chickpeas, lentils, any kind of bean. I've been seeing navy beans. No beans. Okay? None. No green beans. I know people get upset with me about that because it's at the lower end of being a problematic bean, but it doesn't matter. We don't know yet, because they're still in the process of doing the research, at what point it's okay. So just avoid them completely. No potatoes. No sweet potatoes. No white potatoes. No Idaho potatoes. No your mama's potatoes. None. So, there you go. Eric, did you left it pretty wide open, so I hit you with everything. I was just, let me know if I addressed your concerns about grain-free. It was an excellent question, by the way. Okay, Jessica said he's had it off and on for a while, and I posted in the group a bit ago about it. His diarrhea started when he was on Wellness, Raw Rev, the turkey and chicken. Then I switched to Nature's Logic chicken. Then the vet put him on chicken and rice. I'm seeing a problem here with the chicken. I switched to beef and rice. Worked a little better. Now I'm on Go Solutions, Skin, Care and Coat, Lamb. Okay. Take a look at the lamb. Look at the grains and starches that are in that food. Does it have rice? Because the rice may be the problem. Don't forget, rice is an inflammatory ingredient. So while it's a great source of carbs right? It's very fast burning. It's good. You know, a lot of puppy foods use it because it's instant energy. It can also be problematic for dogs. So take a look and let me know if there's rice in that food, because that may be the issue. I can hear Aster out there. She's so funny. Okay, haven't tried the oils yet. Kilo's almost solid black boss with a white chest. Okay. Okay, his pits and chest get very itchy. That sounds like yeast overgrowth. Especially when dogs, they get really itchy and red and irritated in the creases of their skin, for example, in their little armpits. That's usually a yeast issue. Been using solid gold seal meal for a couple of months, but it hasn't done anything. Okay. Yeah. So I would... When was the last time he got a bath, Melissa? The Boston Kilo, I think we're talking about. When was the last time he had a bath? Let me know. Anne-Marie said, this is great. No, Anne-Marie, you're great. Okay. Hey, Eric said, amen. All right. Okay, Anastasia said, is olive oil good for dogs? You mean like for adding it to their food? It's not ideal, no. I try to stay away from the vegetable oils, canola oils, right? Peanut oils, right? Try to stay away from those. You want to look for real food sources of oils, real food as it pertains to dogs, right? Fish oil, herring oil, krill oil. I'm trying to think of some other oils. You can tell it's time for me to eat because my brain's starting to slow down. So yeah, so can you give dogs olive oil? You can, but I don't recommend it. There are a lot of other really great options. Hemp seed oil. Yeah. Kylo Ren. All right. That's a great name. Ah, and Jessica said, yes, there is rice. Good catch. Yes. So, Jessica, to answer your very first question, which was, I believe, should you change the dog's food? The answer is yes. And I would choose something that does not have rice. I would stay away from chicken. If you can try some other protein that the dog has not had yet, for example, if you wanted to do like the Nature's Logic pork, right? Like I said, a lot of dogs have not had pork. That food does not have any rice. It has millet, which again, not a lot of dogs on standard diets have had millet, so they often have a good reaction. So yeah, I would give that a try. Anastasia said, no, I don't give it. Just a question. I'm Greek. That's fantastic. Yeah, it was a good question. Aster is just they're having a blast out there. Okay, Melissa said, right before the weather changed, I took him to the vet to make sure it wasn't that. He is never red or irritated until he starts itching. He doesn't do a lot of paw licking, so the vet said test of some sort, but nothing came back. Okay, Melissa, tell me this. Have you done any sort of carpet cleaning or had a rug cleaned or run a carpet cleaner, right? You may have your own carpet cleaner. Have you done any of that lately that maybe he's like dragging himself on the carpet? let me know about that. I know I keep asking you questions, but I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. Okay, when should I move, if ever, from free feeding, to scheduled feeding? Well, that depends a lot on the dog, the size of the dog, and what your schedule dictates. So, for example, let's say you work from home forever, right? It's not a big deal. You can free feed, you're home, you can let your dog out, no big deal. Okay, well, if you don't ever have any feeding issues with your dog, then you could free feed technically forever. If that's what you wanted to do, if that's what your dog likes to do. I know a lot of small breeds, they can be grazers, right? They kind of eat a little bit at a time. If you have a schedule, that means that you need to be able to plan out your dog's meal, right? So for example, if you leave home during the day to go to work and then come back, then absolutely you would want to put your dog on a schedule sooner rather than later. Now, the only caveat to that is if you have a tiny toy breed, Sega's just having a blast out there. If you have a tiny toy breed, meaning 4 pounds or less, then I recommend that you just plan on free feeding and always having food available. The smaller the dog, the higher the chance of them having a hypoglycemic episode where their blood sugar drops. So if they're tiny, I just recommend that you always free feed or have food available, just to try to combat that. Now, to kind of do a flip side, we are currently working from home because of the whole COVID thing. And we are kind of doing like a modified free feeding. So I put down food in the morning when we get up, and then normally I would time the dogs so that they have a certain amount of time to eat, and then I would pick up the bowls, right? And dogs get used to this over time. It helps with potty training. It helps with, if you have to leave for work and let them out before you go, right? That sort of thing. Because we had them on a schedule, and then this whole COVID thing happened, now I just don't pick up the bowls. So everybody comes and eats, but then if there's any little bit left over, it'll just sit, and they'll munch on it later. So yeah, it really depends on what your schedule dictates, and what you need to do. Okay, yes, small palm, under 4 pounds, faint. Yes, I would just free feed. If you have to leave during the day for a small dog under 4 pounds, I recommend that you have a setup where you have a pen and you have puppy pads. That way they can relieve themselves while you're gone, because a 4-pound dog is not going to be able to hold it all day. And since you're going to have a pen set up anyway, you can have food and water for them, so you don't have to worry about a low blood sugar episode. So yeah, that was a great question, by the way. Okay, let me scroll back up here because I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, Michelle said, I've heard a few people mention coconut oil to help keep teeth clean. After hearing what you said about the oils, I'm guessing it's not a good idea. Okay, so coconut oil, it's kind of like in the middle of the road there. Like it's not as bad as like canola oil, olive oil, right? Nutritionally speaking, but it's not as good as herring oil and things like that as far as omegas are concerned. So now if you're using coconut oil to, say, brush your dog's teeth, then that would be a perfectly fine option. I would much rather someone use a little bit of coconut oil to brush their dog's teeth rather than using a toothpaste that they get from the pet store, right? That's full of chemicals and garbage. So in that case, it's good. Dogs like the taste of it. So that's a plus. Coconut oil is good to have on hand to use. You can use it topically on a dog, especially with dry skin, which is nice, because then if they lick it, obviously it's not going to hurt them. And coconut oil is good if your dog is constipated, like I was talking about for somebody there earlier when we were chatting. So yeah, it kind of has its place, but I don't recommend that it's, you know, like a staple in your dog's diet. It's one of those things that I would use if I needed it. I keep it on hand, but it, you know, not something I give them every day. Okay. Jessica said, I would go to raw if I had the freezer space at this point. I hear you. I hear you. I had to buy an additional, just small chest freezer when we decided that we were going to be doing more raw and home cooked, because our fridge has a very small freezer, and I was like, we are just not going to have enough space, and we need space. So, and my vet is against it. Yeah, most of them are. I actually just posted an article earlier that the blogger Keep the Tail Wagging, that she posted about why vets are against raw feeding. It's just, it's one of those things. It makes no sense to me that vets would be against raw feeding, but they would be okay with spaying and neutering at 6 months old when a dog is not mature. And those hormones have been proven since 2003. They did the veterinary studies, not just random studies, not just Joe Schmo studies. Veterinary hospitals did the studies showing that dogs need their hormones and that we should not be spaying and neutering them until they're full grown. But vets are okay with that? What? Don't get me wrong. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I feel for vets because they are the one profession that is required to be everything to their client. Vets are, they're supposed to be surgeons, right? They're supposed to be nutritionists. They're supposed to be general practitioner. They're supposed to be specialist, right? Like, they're required to wear so many hats, they can't possibly know everything. There's a reason why in humans we have a nutritionist, we have a dermatologist, we have a surgeon, right? Your surgeon is not the same guy that you go to if you just have a common cold, right? Those are two different doctors. So, you know, I think it's unfair that vets have to be everything all at once. You know, because nobody can know all of that. I don't know how to do surgery. I can't even pronounce the medications half the time. So, you know, I don't expect them to know about nutrition. They do receive some nutritional training. It's just not very extensive, unless that's their area of specialty. And most of the education that they receive, not all, but most of it is supplied by the pet food companies, which, you know, there's a certain amount of bias there. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. I'm sorry. Okay, we tore out our carpet, so no carpet at all. Okay, what about floor cleaner? Melissa, we are going to get to the bottom of this. You and me. We're going to figure this out. Okay, are you using a floor cleaner? You know, like maybe one of those Swiffer mops or something. Maybe that's it. It started after I tried a joint supplement. That's when I asked you and you told me to use the Super Snout. Okay. Oh, my phone battery is getting low. It's been on and off since then. Interesting. Okay, stop the joint supplement. I don't think it's the green lip mussel, but let's just stop the joint supplement because I've got some other options if that's not a good fit for him. So, yes, stop the joint supplement and let's see if that fixes it. Okay. Andrea said, I get on that soapbox all the time. I feel you. I do. I get a little carried away. I do. So, okay. Well, I use Nature's Promise free from all-purpose cleaner. Okay. Melissa, I know I'm grilling you, and I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it for you. You're doing fantastic. Like, you're going through everything. It's like you're doing great. So let's take him off the joint supplement. Maybe he has a seafood or a shellfish sensitivity. So let's take him off of that. See if it clears up in a week or two. Keep me posted, please. We'll get to the bottom of it. Okay. All right. If we have any other questions, go ahead and drop them down in the comments. I am going to need to jump off of here shortly because I'm starving. I'm starving. You're very welcome. Yeah, I'm always happy to help. Okay. If you got questions, now's the time. Okay, what do we got? What you got? You guys have had some really fantastic questions tonight. Really very good. Okay, Melissa said, so no joint supplement. He does have a luxating patella, which the supplement has helped so much. I know. So just for a short period of time, let's take him off of the joint supplement and let's see if that fixes the skin issue. Because there are other ways for us to address the luxating patella with supplements. Excuse me. I'm choking on myself. So let's do that. Because it's not going to do him any good if he does have a shellfish sensitivity. He's just going to be miserable itching himself. So we can attack it from other angles. So go ahead and take him off the joint supplement. And let's see if it gets better. Don't change anything else. Just the joint supplement. Take him off. And let's see how it does. Chantal saying good night. Thank you so much. You're very welcome. Eric said thank you. You're very welcome. He will be a year old on the 24th, if that makes a difference. Hi, how's it going? Are you starving?
Do what?
Are you starving?
No, I came in to get the tablet.
Okay.
Oh, are you using it?
No, I couldn't because I got locked out.
Oh, do you need the code?
Well, no. Can we just take the code off?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Do you want me to do it now?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
The live session is over, but I just want you to know that everybody said that it was all your fault.
Oh, so it didn't work out.
Yeah, that I couldn't get into it. They were really upset with you and disappointed. I'm just kidding.
You did get into it, didn't you?
No, I really did lock out. Like, it might say that it's locked. I tried so many times.
You know, the last time you used it, you asked me for the code.
Yes, and then I tried, except I couldn't remember the combination of numbers. And then I know. I'm sorry. It's fun times. Ooh, we got a question. Okay, Andrea said, my dog, Palm, has both shoulders dislocated. Oh my gosh. Won't go back on. And I'll be giving her... It's okay.
You don't want it now.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to wrap up here in a minute because I'm starving.
And you ran the battery down.
Well, all I did was try to log into it.
How many times did you try? You ran the battery down.
Like 5. 5 times.
5?
Maybe.
I'll take it off.
Okay. Thanks.
I will remove it.
You're the best.
All right.
Everyone will be happy with you now.
And you don't need it now.
No, we're good. We're good. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so I'll be giving her new pro joint supplement, green lip mussels. Okay. I feed her Primal Raw Rotate Great. If there anything else I can do other than the future surgery and getting her used to a wheelchair. The only thing that I would say with joint supplements is, and you'll have to forgive me because I don't remember everything that's in the New Pro joint supplement. And of course I just let her take the iPad because I'm a dummy. So what you should do with joint supplements is have an omega-369 supplement, right? Which could be a fish oil or something like that. Because that reduces inflammation in the joint, and then your actual joint supplement, in this case, the green-lipped mussels. The other thing you want to do is you don't want to feed the same joint supplement all the time, and this is true of any supplement, because you want to switch it up. In the announcements, there is a link to the new vet, and I would highly recommend that you do the new joint DS, and DS stands for double strength. It's a wafer. Dogs think it's a treat. It's fantastic. So I would highly recommend that you give that a try and just do it on a rotation. So do the new joint DS with, let's say, a fish oil, and then switch back, maybe a couple months you do that, and then switch back to New Pro green-lipped mussels and acryl oil, right? And that way the body is not just getting used to what you're giving it and making expensive urine, because that's what the body does. When it'll use up some of it and then it'll be like, whatever, I'm gonna get this tomorrow, right? And it just kind of flushes it out. So yeah, definitely try something new and rotate. As far as what you're feeding, fantastic. I can't think of anything else. But yeah, that's a tough case. All her joints are wonky. Breeder I got her from rescued her from a bad breeder who didn't treat her issues. That's so sad. That makes me sad. I mean, so happy that you have her and you're obviously doing a phenomenal job, but sad that, you know, she had to deal with that. So. Okay, Anastasia said I use 10 for 1 multivitamin. I'm not familiar with that one. I'd have to take a look at the ingredients. You have to be careful sometimes with dog vitamins because they will put all sorts of garbage in there that you don't need. They could even be problematic. So I'd have to take a look at the ingredients. Okay. Okay, great. Hey, Susan. Have a wonderful dinner. I'll PM you tomorrow. Getting ready for 2 Fosters coming to spend time with my Trish and Spencer. 2 English Cocker Spaniels sent to a rescue from a rescue. They are 14. Fantastic. Well, make sure you post lots of pictures because we love to see them. Okay, great. Yeah, Andrea, don't forget, it's link in the announcements. There's a multivitamin, and then if you scroll down, that's when you'll see the joint supplement. It's the new NU joint DS, double strength. That's what you need. Okay, great. All right, well, I am gonna go eat some dinner before I starve. I hope that you guys all have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for spending your Friday night with me. You guys had some really fantastic questions, and I'm so excited that you guys were here. Hopefully you learned something new. Yeah. Okay, great. She wrote it down. Hey, Teresa just joined. Hey, Teresa. I'm so sorry. We're wrapping up the show. But don't worry, because once it saves, Facebook will load it to the group. You can always go back and rewatch it. Don't forget, you can go back and rewatch the old live sessions. Oh, we've got one last question before we go. So make sure you go check those out too, because sometimes we get really wild and crazy on here. So, okay, one last question. She joined just in time. What's the best way to put some weight on your dog? Okay, so I have a video where I talk about this, but one of the things that you don't want to do is increase their fat content, right? You don't want to add fat. You want to add protein so that they can build muscle. So I recommend that you increase the food that you're feeding. You can add some meat, some organs to their diet, whether it's cooked or raw, depending on what you're feeding now. So yeah, if you bump up those calories, then they will put some weight on. But just be careful and do it a little bit at a time. You can't just put weight on them overnight. It's a slow process. So yeah, okay, great. Oh, Teresa just got off work. That's okay. I totally understand. Hey, Bridget said, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Okay, so thank you guys again for being here. I'm going to save this and get it uploaded to the group. So just in case you missed something, don't panic. You can rewatch it. And don't forget, be kind